guys, this is Jin from universe.com. I've cycled around the world over 84,000 kilometers on 6 continents. In this video, I'll talk about how much money you need to cycle around the world with my own experience and other cyclists' experience I heard and by internet research. First of all, let's talk about what's the cycling the world meaning. Like how many kilometers and how many countries? Actually, there's no answer for it. Usually, cyclists are following 3 main routes. First, from Europe to Asia, or Asia to Europe, and plus New Zealand and Australia. And second, from North America to South America, or the other way around. But third, from Egypt to South Africa, or the other opposite direction. Of course, you can travel in different ways. I'm just talking about the general idea. If people cycle one of these routes, they said, I cycle around the world. How long does it take time to do it? It depends on the people. Minimum 6 months to 8 months. Average is 1 year to 1.5 years for one route. And if the travel longer, it can be like 3 years to 4 years when people mix 2 routes. The real long trip can be like over 5 years when you mix 3 these routes. Usually it's difficult to mix the routes because crossing ocean requires extra money, time, and courage to explore a new continent. The most popular route is from the Europe to Asia, and the next is from North America to South America. It doesn't matter which route you are cycling, that the cost of the travel doesn't much change in every continent. So here, let me tell you why the cost is not changed, although it's a different continent. There are 4 main things that you will spend mostly on your trip. The first is transportation, the second is accommodation, third is food, and fourth is like visa, insurance, maintenance, and others. The first, cyclists save up lots of money on transportation because they don't need to take the bus or train or flight often. This is the biggest benefit of cycling around the world. And the second, cyclists carry camping gears that they don't spend much money on accommodation. They only spend like a cheap hotel or hostel only sometimes a month. And it doesn't affect their monthly expenditure because it's not that often. The third, cyclists don't spend much money on tour because they are seeing lots of beautiful things while cycling next sea or in the mountain. The fourth, visa fees depending on where you're from. If you have a strong passport, it can be around $200 to $500 a route. Maintain could be like $200 to $500 per route as well. And all of those are similar in every continent because the cyclists travel a simple way. So here, the most important question goes, how much money you need to cycle around the world per monthly? You need $300 per month for accommodation and food. That's $10 a day and $3,600 a month. You need $1,200 for tour, maintenance, and others. So you need $500 a minimum, included everything, to cycle around the world. But then, how about the initial purchase? It depends on people. If you don't have any bicycle and camping gear, you need at least $2,000. If you have everything already, then maybe you need only $500 for extra stuff. I always think that camping gear is more important than bicycle. If you have a good expensive camping gears, it can make your trip very easier. If you have an expensive bicycle like costing $3,000, it will not change much your travel. And this is not a race that you don't need to cycle faster. I saw some cyclists that they travel with very cheap bicycle and all the cheap things. So it's possible that you just spend $500 for the beginning for everything. So total, how much money you need to start cycling around the world? You need at least $7,000, including the gear and everything, to cycle around the world. I must tell you that this is extremely small budget, so it can be really tough to survive. But somehow it's fun that many cyclists actually travel with this budget without much problem. So you can do it if you want. What kind of other budget there are? Some crazy cyclists travel with $2,500 a year. And I really can't imagine how it's like. For me to travel with $5,000 was already very hard. But $2,500 can be really, really tough. But anyway, it's possible because some other people are doing it as well. With a $5,000 yearly budget, I could stay at cheap hotel or hostel only sometimes, and I could get only $1 or $3 meal. That it's very hard to go to a restaurant which costs like more than $10 For the tour, I had only 1 or 2 impressive things per year, like visiting Serengeti safari tour for 3 days, $300. If you spend around $12,000 a year or more than that, your trip will become easy and you can try different dishes at the restaurant on $10 meal. And you can have different tours more. If you spend more money, your travel will become comfortable. That's obvious. By the way, if you want to travel with $5,000 as a backpacker, you have to be hitchhiker. The minimum budget as a backpacker is around $10,000, as you have to spend for accommodation and transportation all the time. The most common budget for a backpacker is around $20,000 to $30,000. As you see, cycling world costs only a half price of backpacking because cyclists doesn't spend on the accommodation and the transportation. Let's talk about my own expense on my world tour. This is my yearly expenditure. I didn't get any money from my family. I've started with $10,000 which I made through a Canadian work holiday visa. I've spent only $5,000 in Americas and Africa each year. I was really worried about surviving in Europe before going there because I thought that it would be too expensive. As you see, I've spent more money in Europe. But the reason is that I bought winter camping gear, new camera gear, front bag for $2,600. If I deduct this, I've spent only $5,500 for a year in Europe. So it's the same as my first year in Americas and my second year in Africa. In Europe, thanks to cheap grocery stores like Lidl, Aldi, Carrefour, I could have many good cheap food. Cycling in Europe was like going out picnic every day because of the cheap grocery shopping and easier than cycling in Latin America and Africa. Since 2016, I spent more money because I got tired of traveling with the $5,000 yearly budget. And I realized that I couldn't make $200 to $400 per month by creating contents regularly, and it was increasing little by little. New Zealand and Australia are very expensive. I remember that I was always hungry at the first month when I just came to New Zealand in 2018. I thought that I had some parasite on my stomach because I was starving all the time. But it was just so expensive to get things at the grocery store. If you have only $5,000 yearly budget with a working holiday visa, you need to think about cycling in Oceania again. In 2016, I traveled 6 months and then worked 6 months with the Australian work holiday visa. Once I stay in one place to work, I've spent more money on renting, going out, than others. As a result, the expense was increasing. Thank you so much for watching my video. I hope this video gives you the idea of the cost of a cycling on the world. If you have experience of a cycling trip, please leave a comment about your expense. It will help many others. In the next video, I'll talk about how to make money while cycling on the world. See you on the next video. Bye bye. Actually, there's one funny thing that I have more good memories when I travel with the $5,000 yearly budget because I get more chance to meet local people and it makes my trip rich with 4 different stories. But I don't think I can do it again because it was really tough and I've done already. That's enough. But if you want, good luck.